place is 25 rounds, but I think it was 21.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, because the Luger has an 8-round magazine. And so the killer must have had 2 extra magazines, because 21 rounds, right? And maybe he had, say, 7 rounds in each mag. Or it might be out of 8 rounds in each mag, and he just didn't shoot them all. He didn't shoot shoot Zainab for some reason. We don't know the reason why. Or maybe he was just out of ammo and he smashed her over the head and left.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe all of his mags weren't full.
Yeah, maybe he put 7 rounds in each mag.
Or maybe he put 8 rounds and had shot a couple bullets already, doing something else nefarious.
I'd kind of come to the same conclusion as what Joe was just saying. Is it putting 7 in the 8? Because if you've ever tried to load a clip that's really stiff, like you try to get to that last one, and sometimes it's just not worth it. He's like, screw it. It's 7 of 8. It's enough. I know how many I have, which would make sense with the 21 rounds having been expelled.
Yeah, and then and for what he's planning on doing, I assume he went out of the house that day intending to murder somebody with his Luger. That's why
he was packing a lot of ammo for some reason.
A Luger and 2 extra mags is not something you carry around every day, all day for self-defense, because it's a fairly big, all-steel, heavy gun.
Yeah.
It is.
It's not a hunting gun?
No, but it's just not
some kind of hunting anyway.
It's a really distressing form of hunting.
Yeah, that kind of hunting. But it's not real concealable either. It's just not your everyday carry kind of gun, really. So I don't know, but I think it was 21 rounds, and of that, 17 rounds actually hit their target, which is pretty good. I mean, considering the stressful kind of situation. I'm assuming this guy was not cold as ice. He probably missed. a lot of people when they get into shootouts, they get even police. They stress so much they miss entirely. There have been the police I've heard stories of police having shootouts with perps at close range. Each has a gun and everybody misses everybody. I mean, they empty their guns and nobody's hit anybody.
It's like it's what was the Leslie Nielsen movie?
Oh yeah. Police Squad or Naked Gun.
Police Academy. Naked Gun.
Yeah, Police Squad. I love that. What a great name. But anyway, so this guy, that's not bad. 17 out of 21 rounds, and again, 2 headshots per person except for Zainab. And but still, I'm not really sure why he didn't shoot her unless he was out of ammo, because she was a witness.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, very shortly after this, around 3:40 p.m., Brett Martin, remember him, the guy on the bike, the Brit,
the heavy bike.
Yeah, the heavier bike. He arrives on his bicycle. And he must have just missed all the action.
He was on a Trek 7300, right?
Probably, on a Trek something, I'm sure. But yeah, lucky for him, he got there a little later than everybody else. Apparently the perp was probably out of ammo anyway. But only one person was seen by him exiting the scene, which is a guy on a motorcycle who passed him going downhill on the same road when he was on his way up.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy, of course, was kind of suspected to be perhaps the perp.
Yeah.
He apparently had been seen on the road south of the murder scene. That would be on the other side of the murder scene by some Forest Service workers, and who told him he had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Was that guy the gunman? Well, the police released a composite sketch of him. He had a goatee, which is kind of sinister.
Yeah.
Kind of heavy eyebrows, very sinister.
Yep.
But in March 2015, he was identified. It turns out he was a businessman from Lyon who had been in the area to paraglide. And so they haven't released his name. Apparently, he had no connection to Mollier or to the Al-Hili family. Has no criminal record, was a respectable businessman. And so the police took no further action on him. Although, who knows, maybe he was our killer. Probably not.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Probably
not. He just happened to be in the area. But nobody else was seen leaving. So this is what's interesting. And you guys looked at it again on the street view. On the street view, if he'd been in a car parked right there, I mean, obviously Brett Martin would have seen him leaving the parking area and driving the other direction, right?
Well, maybe.
And so I'm thinking, well, if he parked that road right there, actually, it goes past a sign that says no admittance.
Yeah.
And then it takes a sharp hairpin turn to the left and goes back up past itself a little further uphill. So he could have shot everybody and then exited through the woods at the back of that turnaround there, and gone about 100 feet up to the road, same road where he parked his motorcycle, bicycle, car, whatever, and escaped that way.
Yeah.
Speculation on my part. I don't know. But anyway, Brett Martin shows up, and interestingly, this is one of the things that police had trouble believing about him, is that he was just a few hundred meters down the road, pedaling on his bike, and he somehow didn't hear 21 shots being fired.
Yeah.
They were a little iffy on that whole thing. And then apparently they did some sonic testing, and it turns out the river is apparently very noisy.
There's a lot of ambient noise.
Yeah, they're in a little valley there, tight little valley with this river making a lot of noise, and apparently the mountains reflect sound back and forth and stuff. So they did some sound testing, and it turns out, well, he very well maybe didn't hear the gunshots.
Yeah.
Even at that
wasn't
range.
he kind of near he was on a bridge or something like that, maybe even?
Yeah. Because the road is constantly crossing over the river back and forth over these little rivers.
Well, and all things considered, this caliber of Luger isn't an exceptionally loud round. As compared to, like a 45 or something, which is super loud.
That's true. Yeah, it's not a 44 mag or anything like that. It's 32 is considered. It's very popular around in Europe. Here in America, it's considered kind of anemic.
A lightweight round, which is why it makes sense that you wouldn't hear it with a bunch of background noise.
So anyway, Breck gets there, and he surveys the scene, and of course, Zainab apparently was out of the car, staggering around, holding her head. Everybody else, of course, was in the car dead. And so he helped her out, and then I think found some local hikers or something, or somebody on a bike or something, and asked them to go for help, and they did. Next thing you know, the cops all show up. Oh, and here, by the way, if you want to see this crime scene, here are the coordinates. Are you ready? Write this down. 45.728831 and 6.224649. And you can see the very spot where it happened.
So much easier than a URL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Way easier.
Yeah. But it is actually kind of informative to take a look at the spot.
It sure is, yeah.
Yeah. So, at the aftermath, there were two survivors. Of course, the two daughters, Zainab and Zina, did survive. Zainab did recover. Apparently, she's had some memory issues, not total memory issues. Of the event.
Short-term memory lost from that time, which is completely understandable and a bit of a blessing.
Yeah, probably.
I was going to say not surprising at all.
But apparently...
Both from the trauma and from the physical trauma.
Apparently the girls have been adopted by an aunt and uncle, and they're doing all right.
Good.
Which is good. Apparently, I think they've been given new identities.
I would guess.
Good too. Yeah. And there was one other weird side note, which is that I said Iqbal, Saad's wife, had been married before, right, to James Thompson back in the U.S. On the day that she died, Jim Thompson died of a heart attack in his car.
That's so weird.
The same day. I know. Isn't that weird? Yeah. The French police actually wanted to test to see if he'd been poisoned or something. Apparently, the family would not agree to it, and so it hasn't happened yet. It's kind of, I guess, something worth checking out, I suppose.
It's kind of a wild, long shot.
It's a huge long shot. I'm sure.
But it's also a huge coincidence.
Oh yeah, it's massive. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But then again, when you look at this whole thing...
Maybe they both signed a contract with the devil at the same time, and the rest of them paid the price for it.
Yeah, that could be. That makes sense.
I've been watching Supernatural again, so...
that would explain that.
Yeah. Okay, I sort of let that show drop. Maybe I should get back to that.
Oh, yeah, I'm still in, season 8, so I've got, 15 more to go.
I've been watching Narcos on Netflix. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's more your style.
Yeah. Okay, where am I here? Oh...
Back to the ex-husband.
Yeah.
We got off on TV World.
Yeah, back to the ex. On the other hand, he was overweight. He had high blood pressure. He smoked cigars. So probably not that remarkable.
Ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still on the same day.
That's a little weird. Yeah, I don't know. So there are a lot of theories. Obviously, the European press went nuts over this, and the internet's gone nuts over it too. And the police, they put out a few interesting theories. Some of the theories, assassination by the CIA, the Mossad, Saddam Hussein loyalists, or maybe the KGB or FSB, whatever they're calling themselves these days. Perhaps a jealous lover, perhaps murder over an estate dispute. But police have admitted they actually don't have any idea, really. They really don't. They don't know who the target of the killing was and who was collateral damage. And for all they know, it really was just a random thrill kill.
Yeah.
They just really don't know. So, who murdered them, and who murdered the Al-Hilis, who murdered Sylvain Mollier, and why did they do it? Well, let's talk about theories, but first, let's take a break.
The Willamette Radio Workshop. The award-winning Willamette Radio Workshop returns for the 19th Annual UFO Festival in McMinnville, Oregon. 2 live radio shows at the Hotel Oregon in Maddie's room at 3 p.m. Saturday the 19th. Isaac Asimov's Pebble in the Sky and Craig Kenworthy's Perf, the Extra-Dimensional Assassin. Tales of future worlds with a modern edge. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll wonder when the mothership arrives. Free admission with food and beverages available. All ages are welcome. Live radio lives at McMiniman's 19th Annual UFO Festival. Don't miss it.
And we're back. Okay, first theory. All right, so our first theory, it was a hit on Saad al-Hili by Saddam Hussein loyalists. And here's the basic outline of this theory. They did have the earmarks of a professional hit, of course, as I said, the 2 headshots per victim, right?
That's guaranteeing that they don't survive.
Yeah, reasonably good marksmanship, although it was a bit sloppy, I've got to say, leaving the daughter alive. One theory that the papers came up with is that Saad's father, Qadim al-Hili, was smuggling large quantities of cash out of Iraq. I'm not sure that if this was post-Saddam or, because, as you know, he was captured and executed.
I believe it had to have been pre-Saddam. Pre-Saddam's death.
Yeah. And so the idea here is that he's smuggling all this cash and wealth out of Iraq, stashing in Swiss banks. And then and apparently this paper that posted this story, why did I say post? I'm so internet-y here. That published this story, they claimed to have gotten this information from German intelligence. I'm a little skeptical there, but... Anyway, the al-Hilis were actually just a hop, skip, jump away from Geneva, Switzerland, as I just said, where all that Iraqi money was stashed. And it turns out Swiss authorities had confirmed that he did indeed make a stop at a bank in Geneva a few days before the killings.
Yeah, it's almost like he was on a large trip with his family and needed some money.
Yeah, and well, there was actually at least, I don't know how many accounts he might have had, but I know his deceased father, Qadim, who had died the year before, had left as part of his estate about 800,000 euros.
I was going to say,
800 euros.
Wow. I read 800 euros, and I thought, I don't know if that's a very big amount of money to fight over, but okay.
I know, no, 800,000, maybe that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely, but he left that in the Swiss bank account. He might have just stopped in to check on that. I think he was in a little bit of a dispute with his brother, so maybe he just wanted to make sure it hadn't been hoovered out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how Swiss banks work. I don't know if they're like every other bank where they have a web page you can just log in and check your balance, or do you have to go there in person like you're Matt Damon, and present them with a little secret decoder ring
and the key
in your briefcase?
Yeah, exactly.
And then the bank manager has to come down and pull the key out of a secret pocket, and you have to simultaneously do the lock.
Yeah,
I think that's how it is.
Is that how it is? Okay, so that's what they had to do.
And then the whole Geneva. No, it's not. What was that Dan Brown book?
Oh, yeah.
Da Vinci Code?
I was like, that's all right. The Da Vinci Code, where you now have to run it down a conveyor belt. Yeah, all of these tropes are correct.
Yeah.
They've got to be.
When you have a Swiss bank account.
Hollywood always, fastidiously researches all their stuff. But of course, if Saad did make a little stopover in Geneva and grab a bunch of illicit Iraqi cash, that's kind of short notice to get an assassin in place to murder him, on a mountain road.
Well, there's automated alerts. I have all kinds of automated alerts on my accounts.
It could be they have sleeper agents in place all over Europe. And
it could also be that they suspected
they already suspected him. Yeah.
Going to, and then. So they had somebody tailing him already.
Yeah, or maybe he'd actually been doing it already.
Yeah.
I have serious reservations about that, but we'll get to this.
Yeah.
This is a bad theory. It's
it's not that great of a
playing along.
Yeah. So imagining, as common sense kind of dictates, there had to be a little preparation for this.
Correct.
They didn't just decide on the basis of 24 hours notice to get a hitman out there to kill him. But if it was a long time coming, then and French police originally believed that the origin of it was not in France. They didn't want to believe it was a French person that did this. You would think that they would have assassinated him back in England. It would have been a lot simpler, rather than tracking him and his family all over France and then killing them, all of them. Maybe just shoot him when he's coming out of his office or something like that.
Well,
right, instead of the moving Jason Bourne target style thing.
Yeah.
Yes, but I will say that family camping trip in this kind of a not really very well-traveled area it would maybe be better without the bad luck of having the two bikers there. That it could feasibly be days before the bodies were found.
Maybe, I don't know.
If they were camping, indeed, they wouldn't be expected to be checking in. Most of the family was there, so in a way, it kind of makes sense. It's not great, sure, but
their being reported missing would probably be greatly delayed by that.
It would, and then finding the bodies, and then probably the daughter would have actually died. Because
the younger one?
Probably.
Because she would have stayed there indefinitely?
She probably would have.
No, the one that got, the older one. She probably would have.
She probably would have. She would have staggered down the road. She might have made it, or maybe. It would have been a lot simpler. Rather than tracking him and his family all over France and then killing them, all of them, maybe just shoot him when he's coming out of his office or something like that.
Well,
right, instead of the moving Jason Bourne target style thing.
Yeah.
Yes, but I will say that family camping trip in this kind of a not really very well-traveled area it would maybe be better without the bad luck of having the two bikers there. That it could feasibly be days before the bodies were found.
Maybe, I don't know.
If they were camping, indeed, they wouldn't be expected to be checking in. Most of the family was there, so in a way, it kind of makes sense. It's not great, sure, but
their being reported missing would probably be greatly delayed by that.
It would, and then finding the bodies, and then probably the daughter would have actually died. Because
the younger one?
Probably.
Because she would have stayed there indefinitely?
She probably would have.
No, the one that got, the older one. She probably would have.
She probably would have. She would have staggered down the road. She might have made it, or maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
It just was bleeding quite a bit.
I agree. It's, but it does seem to make a little more sense if you're worried about the discovery of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although, I don't know how ill-traveled that road is. I mean, if you go on Street View, if you go from Cheveline all the way up to the murder scene, you pass a bicyclist on the road, or the Google car does.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the lay-by, as they call it, another podcast they call it the layabout. No, I wanted to just say that. No, I'm a layabout. That's a lay-by. Okay, but. But if you on the same street the same day, there were two cars parked in that spot.
Okay.
Yeah. So
misconception, maybe, I don't know.
It seems to me like it's popular enough somebody would notice this BMW with a bunch of bloody corpses in it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although still, it is a little bit out of the way. I mean, it's not heavily trafficked. It probably is a decent place. You can just look up and down the road, see is somebody coming. Okay, good. Kill.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, besides that, they did check out his house. They didn't find anything there. No evidence of sketchy behavior or Recce cash connection, anything like that. What they did find is that he had recently changed his locks, which the papers made something out of. I'm not sure what you can make out of that really, but. And then they also found a taser, which is illegal in Britain.
I think you can make something out of the newly changed locks.
Maybe.
Okay, this might just be because of the amount of reporting, but I thought that I read that the taser and the freshly changed locks were something the police were all excited about when they got to the brother, and not Sahat.
And what do you mean when they got to the brother? As in they found it at the brother's place?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they found it at Saad's place.
No, they did. Yeah.
Well, no. See, that's the thing is that I remember them talking about the fact that in one of the articles it was saying that when they went and checked out his brother, they found it weird that they had gone there and then I think this is just confusing reporting.
A lot of
I think it is.
Going on here.
I think like they searched Kadim's house. That's the father. They searched his house looking for clues.
Right.
And that was the one where
but they arrested his brother and hauled him in a couple of different times.
They did.
So that's where the conversation.
And they searched his place too. But,
but the changed locks and the taser come up in that conversation as well, which is why I was saying.
Oh, it's so confusing. No, but the search of Kadim's house was the one where they thought they found something sketchy that they thought might be a bomb, so they evacuated the neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've seen that reported as Kadim's house, and also as Saad's house, and also as Zaid's apartment.
Okay.
So I've seen it reported as all three. It was Kadim's house that had the bomb.
Okay, so really, the reporting on this is just horrendous.
It's not good.
No, it isn't. It isn't great. It's confusing, and it makes our job harder. So cut it out, guys.
Yeah.
Really.
Stupid reporters.
Have some integrity.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah. But the police, meanwhile, they were checking out this theory that a hitman had perhaps followed them over from Britain. So they found basically every security camera between Calais, France, and Lake Annecy, which is probably quite a few. We're talking traffic cams and just rest areas and
ATMs and cafes and whatever.
Gas stations or whatever. Apparently they tracked them all down, went through thousands and thousands of photos, and found the photos of the Al-Hili car with the trailer traveling across France. And they checked neighboring photos to see if there were any cars that showed up more than once that were tailing them. So they went through a lot of photographs here. And by the way, there's been some complaints by the family, the Al-Hili family, that the police have really done nothing and all that stuff.
Feels like they've done a lot.
They've done quite a bit.
Yeah.
They actually really have. But they went through all these photos, and they finally decided, no, they were not tailed from England because they never found a single car twice following them. And also the other thing about it that doesn't really make sense is apparently Zainab recovered enough of her memory of that day. The police asked her exactly, how they came to be up there, and what she told them is that they were hanging out at the campground, and Saad said to her, well, what do you want to do? Would you like to go shopping, or do you want to go out into the woods?
Oh.
And Zainab said, let's go to the woods.
Oh.
I know, poor kid. I know.
Can you imagine that being one of the only things you remember from a day like that?
Yeah, I know, poor kid. That's just sad, but... And so this wasn't even a planned thing.
Which means it's hard to premeditate putting a guy
out there to lay in
like
an assassin laying in wait for them. So if an assassin was laying in wait for anybody, it would have been Molière and not the Al-Hilis. So it looks like they were probably the collateral damage here. Molière was the target. So let's talk about that theory. It was a planned hit on Molière.
You need to finish up the stuff about Kadim, because we talked about a little bit about the whole thing with him and the Hussein regime.
Kadim, I guess, that might be a little bit confusing there. I mean, Kadim Al-Hili, of course, Saad's and Zaid's dad, he moved to England with his family in 1971. He moved back to Iraq in 1974, did not take his sons with him apparently, and stayed there until 1982 because he still had businesses over there. And so he basically
was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and so he basically went over there, I think, eventually ran his businesses and eventually wound them down or sold them or whatever, and got out in 1982, which was kind of after Saddam's accession to power, because I think Saddam officially became the big boss man in like 79, I believe. Not totally sure about that.
Ballparkish.
Right around 79, yeah. I mean, he was kind of the power behind the throne for a long time there, but he didn't become the big kahuna until about 79. And so there's no indication that they were buddies, though, or that they had any connection whatsoever. And the way things are...
So this whole stashing Iraqi hidden war cache thing is probably just something to sell papers?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if there was any real evidence for it because there's no evidence that Saddam and Kadim knew each other.
Right.
And for that matter, Zaid said that Kadim actually did not like Saddam at all.
Come on, Joe. He was from Iraq. He was buddies. He was buddies with Saddam.
Yeah, of course.
They all were, weren't they?
Just like all of my Persian buddies were friends with Saddam.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was kind of, if you sort of let things take their course, eventually everybody would have been his buddy because he killed everybody who wasn't.
Yeah.
So, eventually.
That's true. Yeah.
It was heading that direction. Yeah.
To be clear, I'm joking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too.
We don't think that.
No, actually, I really love the quotes from my friends who I can't directly quote because there's some foul language in here. But he was blanking crazy is what they used to always say when people asked them about what they thought about Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, he was.
Nobody who left that area liked Saddam.
Saddam. Yeah, no, he.
Saddam.
Yeah,
Saddam.
He was rather ruthless, but Saddam.
So, next theory?
Our next theory, it was a planned hit on Mollier, Sylvain Mollier, the bicyclist.
Okay.
Mollier was at this time taking a 3-year leave of absence from his job
as a welder.
As a welder, yeah. And I don't know why he was doing that.
How do you get a 3-year absence?
I know.
Amazing.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's crazy maternity leave right there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, paternity leave, first of all, right? But
True.
But sometimes contracts aren't as plentiful, and maybe it's possible that he said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to take a 3-year sabbatical. Let me know when there's work again."
Yeah, it's a weird number to me. I'm sure that in Europe it maybe it's something that's more common.
Oh yeah,
they
they definitely give people way more time off, which is amazing.
Like Intel here only gives you about a 1-year sabbatical, and Intel is weird for giving people sabbaticals.
Yeah, most
in the
don't
country.
do that even. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a strange number to me. That's all I'm saying.
It is kind of a strange number. I don't know that I'd want to take that much time off from my job because I would probably forget how to do it.
To.
Yeah, but anyway, he was doing whatever he was doing that particular day. Of course, riding his bicycle, living with his girlfriend Claire Schutz. And according to the papers, Claire was from a very well-off family. Apparently, her dad owned a big, successful pharmacy. Apparently, she was buying it from him. And the papers took that to mean that she was like a millionaire.
On paper.
He was a gold digger, yeah. And they said, the papers also said Claire's family didn't like Mollier and felt that he was sponging off of Claire and that perhaps the family had him killed, and all right. But then there was another theory, apparently that Mollier also liked to fool around, and that maybe there was a jealous boyfriend out there.
Being a ladies' man.
Maybe wanted to whack him, yeah. So that was another theory that was out there. But of course, this all runs back into the same problem we had with the Al Hillies being the target of the hit. Is that apparently nobody knew Mollier was actually going to bicycle up that road.
He wasn't supposed to.
He was
he was on a bicycle that really was equipped for that kind of terrain, if I understand.
He was on a racing bike, and actually that's a paved road, but it does have some cracks and potholes in it. If you can see it. You can actually, if you weave skillfully enough, you can for the most part stay on smooth pavement if you weave in between all the holes and stuff. There's going to be a few patches where you're going to rough up your little bike a little bit. And I don't know how, those racing bikes have got those incredibly super skinny little tires on them.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
That look like, if you run over a rock about bigger than your thumb, you're going to totally destroy it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But apparently, he was cruising up that thing. Maybe he was so well off that he didn't worry about ruining his tires. I don't know. But he was apparently, as far as we know, just randomly cycling up into the countryside that day. Yeah. We don't know that for a certainty. I mean, maybe he was planning a secret rendezvous up there.
Or maybe he told someone.
Well, maybe. Best I was able to hear is that he was with Claire and her father, I think, and said he wanted to go out for a bike ride and was thinking about heading like south of the lake. And Claire's father said something, well, you took that road south out of Cheveley, and that's kind of a cool drive,
That sounds a little suspicious, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that road also has a lot of forks on it.
Yeah.
And so they could have said, take this turn, and he just didn't take that turn and took the road straight the whole way.
Sure.
Yeah, it could have been that he was actually suggesting a different route than the one that Mollier actually took.
Yeah.
Or they are covering up for something. And
Yeah, and so so I can just picture it now. He's out the door, and the guy's immediately, okay, get to the spot now.
Yeah.
That too was a
he's coming.
Yeah. Now the only way I could see this working out as sort of a hit with Mollier is between the two parties, between Saad and Mollier. He is the one that was from the area and could perhaps have planned some sort of a meetup at that spot. We'll never know. There's absolutely no evidence to support that.
Yeah.
And there's no evidence that he was involved in any sort of covert activity, that would get this kind of thing that would get you killed, right?
Right.
So we'll just have to take that as probably not.
Yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, there's this question of how ruthless and horrible and heartless would somebody have to be to not only want to kill one man, but then also think, oh, you know what? Now I have to kill this entire family, including a 7-year-old girl. Like,
I know. It's like
that's just another step above.
Yeah, I know. Even in my most psycho moments, I would probably back up and say, I think I'll wait until another day to kill this guy.
You would think. Yeah,
I think
you would hope.
Yeah, you would hope so. Yeah. Or maybe he was just that angry.
Maybe.
I don't know. Okay, so much for that theory. There's another theory, which is that Saad's brother Zaid had him killed over this estate dispute. Because, as I said, Kadim had died, the father, and left 800,000 euros in the Swiss bank, along with one house in Britain, south of London, and also an apartment in Spain. So I don't know how much all of that was worth.
A lot.
Property, it's fairly valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, property itself tends to